in this video, we'll dive into the movie Superman. We will discuss the storyline, summarize the plot, and explore the cast and characters. Additionally, we will cover the movie's production details and box office performance. Finally, we will provide reviews and share personal reactions. So, let's get started. Superman released in July. Director and DC Studio co-head James Gunn downplayed the amount of pressure the film was under to perform at the box office. Still, there was no denying Superman had a lot riding on it. It was the first theatrical release in the new DC Universe franchise, attempting to get DC Comics adaptations back on track after the uneven output of the DC Extended Universe. People kept a close eye on Superman box office figure. Comparing the reboot's gross to 2013 Man of Steel, while Gunn's film emerged as a winner on the domestic charts, the worldwide number tell a different story. As of this recording, Superman has grossed $594.5 million globally, while it could gross the $600 million milestone before its time in theater in an hour. It's unlikely it will pass Man of Steel worldwide. Zack Snyder's films earned $670 million worldwide, making it the highest grossing solo Superman movie of all time at the worldwide box office. Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice brought in $1874.3 million back in 2016. But obviously Superman was sharing top billing with The Dark Knight. Domestically, Superman exceeded box office expectations by earning $185 million in its opening weekend. It's then held very well in the United States, steadily rising up the all-time charts each weekend. However, from the beginning, its international number left a little to be desired. Superman wasn't as a big draw overseas, meaning it always had an uphill climb to top Man of Steel's worldwide total. Superman was already starting to slow down a bit as the calendar turned to August, and its box office numbers should slow down even more now. The film hit VOD digital platform on Friday, August 15, giving everyone a chance to watch it at home before Peacemaker Season 2. Premiere on August 21st, with Superman now available on home media. People have less incentive to make it home to the theater to watch it. Since Man of Steel earned more worldwide, some people may try to point Superman's box office numbers in a negative light. However, there is some nuance to consider when discussing this topic. In this post-pandemic landscape, viewers have become accustomed to shorter theatrical window. Case in point, Superman hit home media roughly a month after the premiere. Die-hard fans will always be better to see a big blockbuster on opening weekend, but casual audiences are more comfortable waiting for streaming. In the pre-2020 days, a well-received comic book adaptations would potentially push $1 billion. Things have changed now. Marvel's movies, their war box office disappointment become its own Disney+. Even if Superman is looking up at Man of Steel on the worldwide chart, it's still a success. Warner Bros. Executives and hoped Superman will gross more than $500 million globally. A figure has clear. Superman is also the highest grossing comic book adaptations of the year and is currently just one of the 4 released to earn $300 million domestically in 2025. DC Studios and WB are clearly happy with the way things turned out, as Gunn is busy working on a Superman follow-up on top of developing more DCU projects. Perhaps the next Superman film will set a new worldwide record. Monday after Warner Bros. And DC Studios Superman is higher with a $1 to $5 million opening. This is where travel saw it only higher yesterday. AMC James Gunn movie Sunday being robust over $31 million, 17%. Warner's revives Friday and Saturday for the epic in $56 million and $37 million. Not even Crab Night will ease Superman's gap on his second weekend, which should be around 50%, with around 62%. How that's Matt Reeves. The Batman is 50% in his second weekend, while the last two Guardians of the Galaxy movies, Volume 2 and Volume 3, respectively declined 56% and 48%. You will remember how much many marveled about the Hoult on the third good. Superman's competition his weekend are more flies to the son of Joe A.R. Paramore's animated movies Smurf, Sony's reboot of I Know What You Did Last Summer, and A24's Ari Aster, Politico Western, comedy action movie. Ending John Superman's wings will get clipped on July 25 with the arrival of the Marvel Studio and Disney, The Fantastic Four 4 steps. Global for Superman is to $20 million, which is about $20 million higher than where we spotted it. The American of it all with Mr. Blue and Red and Yellow always prevented him from flying to further coast. Man of Steel's foreign BO only wrapped 57% of its global haul, and it was even less on Bryan Singer. Superman Return, which was 49% of global. Update really Sunday. Refresh for more update. Warner's is reporting Superman this morning at a $122 million opening, but its Man of Steel is higher. Arrivals in the 24 million to 25 million range. Splitting the difference is Warner believes Sunday is 25% from Saturday with 28%, while Rivers believe that means an even blurred sky for Hellkill around $30 million. Warner Bros. Excess very reason to be doing Ducky Doki Dance this morning is this year after the Microsoft movie $126 million. Technically, Warner's only number 1 and number 3 biggest opening of the year currently. Warner Bros. 6 number 1 opening. It's also DC Studio co-head Peter Safran's biggest opening ever at the box office, ahead of Aquaman 67%. The second best opening for Superman movie, overall behind Batman v Superman, $166 million. The best opening for a Superman first franchise installment, ahead of Man of Steel. The second best opening for a Superman movie, overall behind Batman v Superman, $166 million. The best opening for a Superman first franchise installment, ahead of Man of Steel, $116 million reported today. And the second best opening, as we said all along, for Gunn behind Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, $146 million. Talk about pressure. DC Studios is their new chapter, bet on their co-studio boss. Gunn to the them of what if Superman did not work. Then the whole house of cards falls down. Right, but there is another way of thinking. Let's talk about the risk involved. Had DC Studio now tapped Gunn to direct Superman. He is arguably one of the best superhero filmmakers out there right now, and a visionary who can steer between art and commerce in regard to how Warner's and DC overcome the mechanics who were out here from the onset of the first trailer. Studio sources say that they always knew coming off recent broken DC movie there would be an uphill battle to convince audiences and be open to the new DC and Superman. It was going to take more than 2 minute piece to get people off their couches. Clearly in the first trailer, the story was not going to be fully told too soon. It was a field piece, all tone and feel with no dialogue. Every beat of the campaign was planned and calculated until this weekend, which culminated in a great oversaturated swell of social sentiment, audience score, and critical review. Intelligence reports $7.7 million admissions the weekend for Superman, of an average ticket price of $15.77 million and average PLF ticket price of $18.95. Wait, were not some sources expecting Superman to go Hoult after the $22 million previous with a $440 million to $150 million opening? Is Mega to blame? Is Gunn's immigrant comment to blame? It's my understanding, not at all. Because the red country zone for this type, a movie are not underperformed more on the zone. Rather, they are churning out the average amount of cash for a PG-13 family adventures movie. At $120 million plus, this is the ceiling for a stand-alone Superman movie when he's not fighting Batman and the desolate remains of Gotham. Superman's legs are not that different from Man of Steel, but that's only for each movie's first days, Thursday, Saturday. Read Zack Snyder, movie between in $20 million previous and Friday did. $56 million it's Saturday fell, 35% for $36 million, and as we told you further down, Matt Reeves, the Batman is 24% between its Friday previous and Saturday. Backing the Whip and Buggy Days of 2013, Warner did not combine previous into the Friday. Rather, they rolled into the weekend Man of Steel, doing over $16 million. AMC Bobbing remains the highest grossing single location, gross for Gunn's Man of Steel at $261 million. The top 10 theater locations for Superman were 1 AMC Burbank, 2 AMC Lincoln Square, New York, 3 Regals Airways Spectrum, Los Angeles, 4 AMC Empire, New York, AMC Disney Springs, Orlando, Regal Edward Marks Hausen, AMC Universal City Walk, Los Angeles, AMC Garden, State, New York, Regal Kendall, Village, Miami, and Regal Atlantic Stations, Altona. The top 10 marquees were 1 Los Angeles, 2 New York, 4 Chicago, San Francisco, Houston, Washington, Toronto, Atlanta, and Comscore and Paul reported his weekend is coming in $200 million, 59% from the same weekend a year ago. The summer box office is clicking at $2.35 billion, currently a post-COVID best, 17% over last year, first Friday in May through July 13. Still, the summer lags behind 2019, pre-COVID by 14% overall box office year of January. 1 through July 13 stands at $4.7 billion, 15% ahead of the same frame a year ago, but 24% behind pre-COVID 2019, which at this point in time stood at $6.2 billion. Sunday morning reported figure, Superman, WB, 435 theater, Friday $56 million to $37 million, Sunday $28 million to $30 million, $122 million to $124 million. Jurassic World Reboot, Ioni Theater, Friday $11 million, Saturday $16 million, Sunday $12 million, 3 day $40 million, F1 $3,412. For a first superhero movie in a franchise with excellent score, at a time when fan audiences can dose these comic book movies away like the show, you can get down on your knees and thank the Almighty for the opening. Very good start here for a movie where was cynics early on about the thriller. More on that in a bite. Superman is able to leap tall building in a single bound in a way that the Marvel Cinematic Universe thunderbolts $74 billion and Captain America Brave New World $88 million. Also, it's another great start for the summer box office, the second $100 million plus opening after Lilo and Stitch for $146 million Superman cost before P&A. $225 million net. Zack Snyder Man of Steel opened to $116 million back in 2013 unadjusted for inflation. In terms of walk-up business, 49% told Comscore Screen Engine post-track that they bought their tickets someday, a prize number. Compare this to 41% who bought their ticket on the first Friday of Deadpool and Wolverine, and the 57% who bought their ticket on the win of the Minecraft movie. What's great about Superman, it has excellent audiences, exists of a cinema score, 74% definite, recommend, and 96% positive on Comscore Screen Engine's post-track. Solid cinema score from the under 24% set including kids. If it was just all break fact, grosses and so-so audiences sentiment, there would be a pause for concern. That's what happened with Batman v Superman, despite holding the record for the biggest US Canada opening for a DC movie at $166 million. Stateside, that the cinema score was a clear sign that audiences were not entirely in love with the dog dwelling out his center self. Superman's A cinema score is the same as standard Man of Steel and Heath of Brian Singer's Superman Return B+, and Christopher Reeve's Bomb Superman The Quest of Space. On the high-end, Superman is poised to rank second among Gunn's domestic opening behind Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 2. Gunn's Man of Steel is playing evenly throughout the country with our next business in West, South and East. AMC Burbank is currently the highest grossing venue stateside with close to the $170K and IMAX are driving 42%. Out the box office day, 7:15 IMAX show at the Man's Chinese Theatre that last night was close to sold out with many sitting through the credits and some cheering. Solid diversity demo had on Superman with 26%, Latino and Hispanic 19%, Black 9%, Asian American and 40%. Caucasians demo wise, it looks like a fanboy film. It exists similar to Deadpool and Wolverine. Even there's a already titled male female is 68%, 32%, older or men over 25, 43%, men under 25, 25%, 90%, grade women over 25, 19%, and women under 25, 13%. Biggest square was 18 to 24 at 31%, which was the same except percent as Deadpool and Wolverine. Reasons why people went on the post-track: 49% said it looked fun and entertaining. Said is because it was a superhero movie, while 40% say it's part of franchise they like, with David Corenswet, Rachel Brosnahan, Nicholas Hoult and the cast overcoming in 26%. Most influential marketing material per post-track was social media 20%. Forever and a Day from the time the first Superman trailer dropped in December through CinemaCon, some were put off by what it saw, whether it was the over sentiment with it drop. But crypto is one of the best parts of the movie. Gyro wars, whatever, the point is that clearly a lot was kept out of the trailer, and their selling point sometime on these Gunn movies or for any superhero movie. Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 2 in its trailer seemed to be convinced that nothing great would be going on, that it was more of the same, but genuine on of the set on in the theater. There was a Eureka that his sequel was significantly more in its fresh thread about Peter Quill and his father. Sometimes movie marketing has to risk it and keep their powder there, over the actual film in the end being the biggest selling point. Evident here in the great viewer at 82% and 94% audiences score on Rotten Tomato. Overall second weekend of July is coming in $197 million for its title, the best ever this fame post-COVID. That's 60% ahead of a year ago when Dispensable Me 4 posted a second weekend of $43 million and is 40% ahead of 2023, which was the frame's previous high mark post-pandemic with $14 million for all title. After Friday, Warner Bros. DC Studios Superman is looking at a great $55 million first year, including all those $22 million previous. This puts the James Gunn directed movies on course as of this minute of $115 million plus reader. The weekend is still young and there is room for upside. Some are sporting $120 million. Is the mega sentiment hurting this movie? The notion is no. According to boxoffice.org intelligence, Red Country theaters average 33% of the weekend box office for PG-13 family adventure movies, while Blue Country's average 61%. Superman's Praisers through Wednesday saw 60% of its business from Blue Country Theater and 84% from Red Country venue, meaning business is right in line for the movie in regard to where it's supposed to be grossing. There is no source sentiment. Also, non-frequent moviegoers don't make their ticket purchase decision based on a director and his opinion. Anti-intelligence is currently seeing 44% of the better saffron gun productions coming from population center with over a million people. The norm is 44%. That's very good sign. With a major studios crying over for moviegoers watching. The trailer, here is some great viewer. Intelligence report that the Ames Theatre run out of Superman's trailer reached 95%, which is added by the prominent placement on Warner Bros. Legendary and Minecraft movie. Kudos to Warner for running a great in-theater marketing campaign. The camps of all Matt Reeves the Batman posted a 56% first day, previous and eased 24% for $43 million. On Sunday, Saturday, turning into a $134 million 3-day. Guns Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 posted a $56 million first day, previous dipped 90%. On Saturday for a 146% 3-day. Guns Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 posted a $48 million first day, previous 90% Saturday decline with 88% for a day, a 118. Wait, did not you write a $140 million to $150 million? Yes, sources get excited by big number. Here in LA, you can forget about getting a good seat at the 7 p.m. AMC City Walk IMAX. Premium seats are selling out. How the rest of the weekend is shocking out. Superman WB 4135 Theater. Jurassic World Reboot Uni 4334 Theater Friday $10 million 3-day $37 million minus 16% total $229 million 3 F1 WB 3412 Theater Friday $3 million 3-day $10 million total $133.8 million. How to Train Your Dragon Juni 280 Theaters Friday $1.7 million 3-day $5.7 million total $237 million. Aero to $730 million theater. Warner Bros. Is seeing $22 million all in for previous for James Gunn. Not only is that still the best previous UTT America for James Gunn, but is higher than the previous for 2023. Barbie $22 million 3-day, $162 million and Akida for the previous for Matt Reeves. The Batman $21 million $134 million opening at 2022. What do audience think? It's a 78% definite recommend on post track for general audiences. You can take that to the bank. Seriously. 5 stars from kids under 12 and parents. Superman is flying around everywhere. Will present Donald Trump's meme posted on the White House's X handle BC Kryptonite to business in addition to the snark from right-wingers on Fox News. Not a chance. Insiders say, get out of here. Here comes Superman. Gunn told the Sunday teams last week, I mean Superman is the story of America. An immigrant that come from other places and populated the country. But for me, it's mostly a story that says basic human kindness is a value and is something we have lost. The statement was a reflection of the current aggressive immigration policy set forth by Trump. The filmmakers and co-DC Studios boss in his chat with the Sunday Times is not losing sleep over any criticism. Yes, it plays differently, Gunn said, but it's about human kindness, and obviously here will be jerk out they who are just not kind and will take it as offensive just because it's about kindness, but secure them. During an episode of the Fox Table Talk, The 5 this week, Republican Operative Kellyanne Conway said, we don't go to the movie theater to be lectured to and have someone throw their ideology on us. I wonder if it will be successful. Yes, Mrs. Conway, the movie will be extremely successful. At this level, industry productions have raised to $140 million to $150 million plus for the weekend. As we told you, Thursday night's previous, including the Thursday Amazon Prime members show, which collected $2.8 million. It's gonna be a fun weekend. And Warner Bros. Have done it again with an overperformance streak that includes a Minecraft movie. Signers $48 million. Final Destination's Blood Lions $51 million. F1 $57 million. And now Superman. Weekend 28th, the second weekend of July last year, brought in $123 million with the second film of the Disney principal, Me 4. The marketplace is going to boom past easily. Here, how the rest of the week went down. Jurassic World Rebirth Juni 430 theaters Thursday, $7 million to a weekend of $136. Congressional pull a superpower for James Gunn's Superman as the first movie under the filmmaker's DC studio, which he co-runs the Patriot Saffron, is heading to a massive $21 million in overall previous sources tell us to right. Oh, and audiences love it at 95% on Rotten Tomato. Gunn and Saffron and all of Warner Bros. Can rest easy after the cynics snarking over the first trailer back in December. That's your best RT audiences score over for a Superman movie, even better than Richard Donner's 1978 original 86% takeout. Lots of the car flying around here for the first title in DC's Phase 1 Gods and Monsters, for Superman's previous record for a James Gunn directed film, besting the Guardians of the Galaxy, while Warner was hoping for a $100 million 3D shot and tricking any exhibition we are spotting. $115 million Superman looks to be a living all those projections in the dust. The IP has been turned several times through history, not just on the big screen but going back to the radio or its several iterations on TV, including the first 1950s George Reeves' black and white show. So what's the deciding factor for non-frequent moviegoers to discover the superhero on the big screen again? Why reviews? The Superman stands at 82% certified fires on Rotten Tomato. The second best revived Superman ever for Richard Donner 1978 original. Other intriguing benchmark, Gunn's Superman is easily ahead of the previous box office of Zack Snyder 2013 Man of Steel $9 million to 10 p.m. start time. Different era for previous, which turned into a $116 million opening. There is also a shot when we wake up tomorrow morning it could be a higher than Matt Reeves, the Batman from 2022, which did $21 million in its overall previous, including the $4 million Tuesday shows and Thursday showtime that began at 3 p.m. 1:34 p.m. Social media analytics from Relish Mix has noticed a positive word for mouth leading up to the opening with a massive social media universe across YouTube, TikTok, X, Instagram, and Facebook of the $952 million. Says Relish Mix the exuberant joy and dedication to the characters is winning many of fans ever. Comic book movie that's not ashamed to be a comic book is something we desperately needed, and the trailers we have gotten for this movie have given me the warm fuzzy feeling this Superman feels right after his wider popular Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy for Marvels. James in the director chair is inspiring a lot of confidence. Mr. James Gunn is going to do us DC fans right for once. The nostalgia is a strong with the film, capturing the heart of the original 1978 film. His look reminds me of the Superman, and the actors are great, and the theme music remixes the old theme. Take my money now. These numbers do not come from the Warners, and by tomorrow business could be higher. Will President Donald Trump's meme posted on the White House's X handle kryptonite to business in addition to the snark from right-wingers on Fox News? Not a chance. What do audiences say? Is 78% definite comment on post-track for general audiences. You can take the to the bank. Seriously, 5 stars from kids under 12 and parents. Superman is flying around everywhere. Represent Donald Trump's meme. Warner Bros. Superman is looking at a great $55 million first, including all these $22 million previous. This puts the James Gunn director's movie on course out its near $71 million plus theater. The weekend is still young and there is room for upside. Some are sporting $120 million. The new movie has arrived as part of DCU Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters with James Gunn in the director's chair. The film juggles multiple hero characters and sees Superman go up against his infamous arch nemesis Lex Luthor, meaning there is plenty to dig into about how it all ends. Below, we have broken down the Superman ending explained in detail, so you can get up to speed on everything that goes on. Naturally, that means there are spoilers ahead, so turn back now if you have not seen the DC movie yet. For everyone else, head on down to your ultimate guide for all your questions answered. The Superman ending picks up with Clark back at his childhood home. The Superman ending picks up with Clark back at his childhood home in Kansas, where he went to recapture after escaping from Lex Luthor's pocket universe prison on the news. Super says that is about to be invaded by Borvia again, and before he can set up to save them, Mr. Terrific sends a message warning that and the world is in danger. Superman heads back to the metropolis, where an audit of the tearing the city into tanks to Lex's dangerous pocket universe technology. Lex can shut down the rift whenever he wants, but he keeps it open to lure Superman back and keep the hero distracted. The engineer attempts to kill Clark by flooding his lungs, but he manages to shake her and her nano take off. It turns out that Lex did Sharon and Brovia conflict just so he could kill Superman, and he unleashes his ultimate weapon, a clone of Superman made from a strand of hair Lex acquired at the scene of one of Super's many fights, who has been in disguise and Ultraman in the movie. Superman and the clone fight, and it's not looking good for Clark until he calls Krypto for help. Space is ultimately able to knock Ultraman into a black hole opened as part of the rift. Then he and Krypto take down the next wave of Lex backup. Meanwhile, Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen have figured out Lex's link to the Jaharanpur. He has been selling same half her cheaper than Tia Ward in exchange for half of Jaharanpur when Brovia invades, saying to Jimmy's sort of girlfriend, a test matcher sending incriminating selfies, and they began working on getting the story out as they fly over metropolises in Mr. Terrific's vehicle. Over in Jaipur, the Justice Gang and Matron 4 show up to save the day. Drops the Brovian's leads from a great height, which kills him. Superman then flies to Luthor's office, which has been flying over metropolises. As the destruction gets worse, Soap stops Lex from escaping and declare that he is human, which is something Lex has never understood. Mr. Terrific arrives with Closem Lift. Seeing Metropolis, then Krypto shows up and throws Lex around as Super tries to stop him. Thoroughly defeated, Lex is taken to the Wellbear, while everyone he has imprisoned in the pocket dimension is freed. Superman offers Lois an exclusive interview, and Wendy Joe are hidden. They share a kiss and Lois finally says she loves him back. In Jaranpur, joins the Justice Gang. Then at the end of the movie, Superman is back and a fortress of solitude. None other than the Supergirl, quickly greeted by an overexcited Krypto. Supergirl thanks Clark for watching her dog and disappears to have more adventure or get drunk on a planet with a threat soon. The Superman robots then play home video footage of Martha and Jonathan Kent to replace the video of Joel and Era Lowell. In the first post-credit scene, we see Superman and Krypto chilling, all looking out together. Then in the second scene, Space finds out one of the broken buildings in Metropolis hasn't quite been put back together evenly, to Mr. Terrific's annoyance. Thanks to interventions from the Justice Gang, Jalanpur is saved. The hero shows up and defeats the Povius military, with some help for Matron 4-2. Hagar also kills Eliza Brovia, so we can assume that Jalanpur is safe from a future invasion. Ultraman is a mysterious masked figure who is said to be the strongest being on Earth. His identity is concealed until the end of the movie, when it turns out that he is a clone of the Superman. The reformed strand of Clark's hair left behind at the scene of previously battle. Luckily, his force is able to overcome Ultraman with help from Krypto, an accused black hole that has opened as a consequence of Lex's pocket universe technology. Clark takes a confront from a message from his biological parents, Jor-El and Lara-El, which he believed to ask him when looking after humanity. It was crafted in transit from Krypton, so Spock does not know how the message ends. Halfway through the movie, it's revealed that the rest of the message actually tells Clark to subject humanity, as discovered by the engineer and revealed to the press by Lex. Luthor apparently got this message verified by multiple experts, and Major Terrific also believes it to be authentic, so it looks like Jor-El did send their son to conquer Earth. Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen figure out, with help from Eve, that's nature that Lex Luthor has a deal with Brovia for half of Jaranpur, which he'll rule over as a king. But Lex reveals later in the movie that these wars are just a pretext to have an excuse to kill Superman. Lex is literally jealous of Suppose, who he views as an alien who has stolen the limelight from him. That is trading Metropolis into is caused by Lex Luthor's pocket universe technology. Lex is able to close it again with a code, but he wants to lure Superman back to Metropolis and leave Jaranpur undefended. Luckily, after the Justice Gang save Jaranpur and Superman, and Mr. Terrific arrive in Lex's flying office, Mr. Terrific is able to close the rift and save the day. In the post-credit scene, we see Terrific and Super putting up building back together through its slightly wonky. Why is Supergirl here? How are Superman and Supergirl related? Supergirl crash lands in a fortress of solitude at the very end of the movie. She's been portraying on a planet with a red sun, which means she is able to get drunk, since the yellow sun stops her from getting drunk thanks to her Kryptonian metabolism. Krypto also belongs to her, so she arrived to collect her dog and thank Clark for watching him. Superman and Supergirl are cousins in the comic, and Supergirl's Kryptonian name is Kara Zor-El. Nothing is confirmed yet about we will see the Justice Gang, Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific and the Haggard together again, but it seems likely. A Lantern TV show is in the works of the HBO, and we will be seeing Guy again there as for the rest of the heroes reach this space. The movie also makes references to the Green Lantern Corps, but its director James Gunn introduces so many new ideas like Crypto the Super Dog and an entire pocket universe that the story could feel confusing for some viewers by the end of the film. The story follows Clark Kent Superman as he graves with his place in the world, as Luthor hatches a plot to discredit, imprison, and kill the Man of Steel. At the same time, Luthor also schemes with the ruler of fictional country called Borvia to overthrow a Middle Eastern nation called Jaranpur. It's a busy film, but it showed the broad storyline Superman can fit into the here's the ending of Superman explained. Much of the story revolves around Luthor's plot to credit Superman by using a stolen recording of his Kryptonian parents telling their son to conquer Earth to restart their destroyed planet, Krypton. Because of this, the US government allowed Luthor, a various agent billionaire, to imprison Superman in his high-tech facility. It exists within a pocket universe that Luthor created. After Superman is apprehended by a mysterious masked figure who works for Luthor, called Ultraman, He discovered that Luthor is using the prison to detain anyone who disagrees with his violent pursuit of the hero. Luthor even blackmails a superpowered person called Rex Anthony Garrigan, who can make any element for the periodic table to weaken Superman with kryptonite. Superman eventually convinces Rex to use his power to make a miniature son so that he can regain his strength and save Rex's baby son. Josh from Luthor's henchman wants back to his usual cheery self. Superman frees himself, Rex, and Josh from the prisons and escape to a portal that the Justice Gang member Mr. Terrific and the journalist Lois and Rachel Brosnahan have managed to open. Once he returned to Metropolis, it is not long before Superman has to fight Ultraman, while Jay ball Rex through the city. Luthor chooses to let the portal to the Pocket Universe start separating, eventually splitting Metropolis in half. Ultraman is unmasked during the fight and revealed to be a Superman clone that Luthor created by stealing canned DNA from previous fights he's had around the world. The clone cannot think or speak for itself, and Superman ends up throwing it into a black hole inside the Pocket Universe. Superman confronts Luthor at his headquarters, and Mr. Terrific closes and the portal to save the city. Meanwhile, Luthor barrels Superman and tells him that he wants to destroy him because he invites the attention he gets, despite being an illegal alien from another planet. Luthor feels that his intelligence should warrant more praise than Superman's strength, but the hero points out he is just trying to be the best person to can be, and that he considers himself human because of his upbringing. While all is happening, Green Lantern, Nightingale Fillion, and a hacker intervene in the Middle East to stop Bravian from invading Jahanpur and committing Scanning Code. Lan uses the information she and the fellow journalist Jamie Olsen Scholar have collected about Luthor, allowing Brovia to publish an expose about him. This leads the authorities to arrest him and restore the public faith in Superman. Later, while recovering from the fight, Superman watches footage from his childhood with his adopted parents in Ghana, showing that he considered them his truly family. However, that is not to say he completely rejects his Kryptonian heritage, because Supergirl Millie Alog arrives at his base in Arctic to collect Krypto, the Superdog. This is the next DC Universe movie, Supergirl. Thanks to Marvel's cinematic universe, post-credit scenes have become an exception in comic book movies, as fans wait to get a glimpse of what's ahead in the next movie or what kind of crossover the studio is building up to. Superman has to post-credit scene, but his film instead of building up to another movie. In the first mid-credit scene, Superman sees weak capture on the moon while he looks at the Earth. Then in the second, Superman meets up with Mr. Terrific in Metropolis as the work began to rebuild the city. Superman finds out the building is a quite a trip after repair, and Mr. Terrific just walks away. Superman says to himself, "Gosh, I can't be such a jerk." For the last 20 years, the predominant cinematic image of Superman has been whenever basics matter sent to Earth to suffer from the sign of a world he doesn't belong in, he can never fully understand. James Gunn Superman flips that script. His Man of Steel is just a man strong, yes, but not absurd is shredded with his musical on top of more muscles. Durable, sure, but not indestructible. In fact, what struck me most about Gunn's impressions of Superman is how vulnerable he makes the character, both physically and emotionally. This guy gets beat up constantly, and he beats himself up constantly too. Then Superman loses his fight so badly, he can barely stand. He tries to save anyone, not just his friends and his family, but also total strangers and even some of his enemies, and he is devastated when he fails. The key line of the dialogue For the Superman is not something like up and will. It's come on, be careful, spoken to are reckless. Follow here. This Superman is not some distant, go floating above, looking down on us. He's a flawed person with feeling. He makes mistakes and then desperately tries to fix them. I imagine some fans of those earlier Superman will not be on board with the Man of Steel, who cares and occasionally crashes. There will be an inevitable outrage in some circle over the decision to portray Clark Kent as guy so wholesome. He says Dan instead of Dan. Those who feel sad or entitled to their opinion, in my opinion, then Superman is a super bright of fresh air for DC Comics and for superhero movies in general, and easily the best Superman movie made in my lifetime. Instead of an armpit-made origin story, its foundation on that established the new Superman and his world while also telling a deeply satisfying adventure tale. It's somehow soaked in classic DC comic mythology and loaded with the modern touchstones and resonances. It is to my pleasant surprise quite super. It's also got terrific cast. David Corenswet is the incredible discovery as the new Man of Steel. He embodies grace and conception of the characters perfectly, tall and handsome, but not the slightest bit imposing, with piercing blue eyes that radiate concern and compassion, standing in stark opposition to his virtuous Clark Kent in Nicholas Hoult as the perfect Lex Luthor for our time. Technic magnet consumed by greed and envy, who could easily eclipse Superman if only he could stop devoting his every waking second to destroying this threat visitor from another planet. Or it is hard Lex describe him, and Rachel rounds out the curve through as a Lois Lane, who is evidently smart and resourceful but never tried to impress anyone by being the smartest persons in every room. But even the smaller roles are filled with terrific performance, and sure, that can be a Mr. Terrific pun, since he is probably the key supporting character in the movie, and Eddie steals everyone off his scene as a brilliant gadgeter with a ridiculous code name. He is the de facto leader of a team of nonsense heroes called the Justice Gang. That also includes Isabel, Mercedes, Perseus Hawker, and Athens Williams Guy Gardner. The Justice Gang serve as very allies of Corenswet Superman. After their friendship gets tested by the main storyline of the film, in which the Man of the Steel intervenes in a breeding war between the made-up countries of Brovia and Jalanpur. Meddling in the complicated world of international politics brings Superman into the US government, Crusher, and opens himself to Lex Luthor's latest disorderly scheme that threaten Metropolis and the rest of the world. As in his Guardians of the Galaxy movies for the Marvel, Connors again moves himself uncommonly skilled at juggling large cast of heroes and villains, and balancing large-scale action sequences with quiet moment that strengthen their relationship, and is already committed. Between his character, he also finds time in a movie that's only about 2 hours long and pays faster than a speeding bullet to channel some ideas into Superman as well. It can't be a coincidence that after Gunn got himself temporarily fired from Guardians of Galaxy Volume 3, or some offensive tweet that is connected, a story that is, at least partly, about Superman getting cancelled online over his well-intentioned but possibly short-sighted action is Brovia. Turning Superman into a message movie could have been Gunn's kryptonite if the film was not so consistently fun and exciting. If Corenswet's Superman did not use his power so cleverly and in such unexpected ways, if he did not have such strong chemistry with Bronson, and if he did not have one of the best jokes in a movie history by his side in form of crypto, a mainstay of Superman comics and cartoons turned by Gunn into a CGI scene stealer typically portrayed as a super obedient, super loyal sidekick with the intelligence of a human. Gunn's brilliant decision with Crypto was to give him the personality of an actual dog. Affectionate and hilariously obstinate, Crypto has loved Superman, but he is not particularly inclined to listen to him. Although he was made with a computer, Gunn infused with a dog with a more elastic dog behavior that almost any iconic in film history. Superhero was he based Crypto's appearance and temperament on his own rescue dog. Dog lovers are going to be over the moon. Not dog lovers might dating. That stands a little, at least. In Crypto's case, he is such a good boy. Crypto's constant disobedience provides plenty of comic relief. But it's also another smart fact of Gunn's conceit of our Superman's disguise such of normal plot. He can't even get his dog to listen to him. Again, that might it from with a very specific, very narrow vision of Superman as an almighty, infallible savior. Personally, I found myself genuinely invested in the outcome of a comic book movie for the first time in a long time. This Superman does something more impressive than make the audiences believe a man can fly. It makes them care about the man doing the flying. Everything is divisive online, but Corenswet's Superman costume was a particularly sore subject for some DC fan who complained about its color, its bed, its red short, its dimension. After seeing the movie, this costume's slight imperfection, it does not fit Corenswet like a glove. It constantly gets burnt and signed and glommed. I also feel like a deliberate choices designed to posters Grant's concept of Superman as an imperfect dude. That concept would not work quite as well if he looked like a Greek statue brought to life. Also, the costume and its tailoring really makes Corenswet look like a live-action Kevin's Magellan drawing, and is a big Kevin Smager fan. That made me happy. Superman is the first comic book movie in a while that teases our cinematic universe not by forcing needle, subplot and unrelated, but enriching its own story with so many interesting and amusing sporty characters that you want to watch them in other projects. There is at least 3 DC heroes in Superman not named Superman that I can't wait to see again. It may be the first one in the newly established DC universe, making the beginning of James Gunn's vision over a new comic book, the hit motions franchise. But with his Superman, the Guardians of the Galaxy writer director chooses to start in the middle. Krypton is gone. Carl L. David Corenswet is all grown up, and Superman plus other commercials are part of everyday life for those on Earth. Clark Kent already works at the Daily Planet, is already editing. Lois Lane, who already knows his superhero secret, and is already throwing himself into international affair in the name of saving lives. We are told all this in the first minute via on-screen a capture and the scene of being dropped into a story having missed. The crucial first half never really goes away. To catch up, here is the situation. Superman infected in the attack from the fictional nation of Brovia on the fictional nation of Jaranpur. Draw whatever deal world parallels you like here, without any consideration for the geopolitical ramification as a result. He is the target of global suspicion as to his reason for being honored, and retaliation on a form of genetically enhanced soldier created by evil badly billionaire Lex Luthor, whose ultimate goal is to take Superman down. Is at this moment, just after Superman has lost his 5 ever fight off screen, that the story starts. It's not that irritating. The Kryptonian Alliance story would have been better, but the way Superman is constructed requires us to care about a war we have no contract for, and the downfall of a hero whose ascensions we have not seen. We are given no scenes of who before this or the worst sentiment towards him, and so are not equipped to feel any stakes in what happened next. For all that feels off in the setup, the performances are solid. Corenswet clearly fits the bill looks-wise, but also manages to convey the deep scene of duty that Superman feels toward Earth. Rachel Brosnahan is speaking and engaging as Lois breathing life into a role with minimal dimension otherwise. The pair have clear chemistry. An early scene where Lois interview Clark as Superman as passionate clash of perspective is one of the best in the film. Elsewhere, Nathan Fillion is amusing as Green Lantern, egotistical leader of so-called Justice Gang and Barry Breakout. Anthony Carrigan conveys some heart through a mountain of the element, manipulating the hollowed, is having fun as Luthor, dishing out with Cam's back and maniacal scream, as well as genuine flashes of emotions. But there are problems in the writing. Luthor lacks depth, portrayed simply as an abuser, psychopath who's targeting Superman out of spite and indulging in the reckless science at the cost of destroying the world entirely. Spares himself, meanwhile, is almost pure of heart hero. You want him to be the one that reaches donor and Christopher Reeves. But some cranky dialogue and a quirky edge means the character never quite meets the mark. As shown by the MCU Captain America Civil War, the questions of how government might try to control superpower begin, and the morality of decision making under that kind of regime can be the basis of the blockbuster brilliance. Here, the aforementioned interview scene is the only time Superman really digs into that. Otherwise, treating it as a calculated foundation on which is to build a fast technical but flat final showdown. The conflict between the Brovia and Jaranpur is clinically on a nose representation of current events, but while the movie's stance is commendable, the inclusion of real-life humanitarian crisis as a side plot in a film that bombastic and snarky feels a little icky. Visually, Superman is bold and bright and full of color and cosmic emotion, an area in which Gunn excel, and a nice change for the deserted palette of Zack Snyder that keeps the films entertaining for the first hour. But the final act sinks into CGI with an unsatisfying climax and eye-roll-inducing reveal, a restlessly intermittent tone, and an instance on prioritizing things and people we don't really care about our core character. The biggest seeing grace, Crypto the cheeky, cap-wearing, canny sidekick. Superman may not be a great movie, but one thing's for sure, Crypto is a very good dog. David Corenswet takes on the blue and red mantle, admirably, and glimpses of Gunn's signature, sense of fun shine through, but a lack of humanity, originality, and cohesion means the movie around him just does not work. The first in DC new cinematic universe, starring David Corenswet, is glib and flimsy. Comic fans will love it, but this career feels like an eccentric sci-fi B-movie. Superman is not just a new film, or even the first in potential series of film. It's the launch of the whole new cinematic universe, the previous run of DC's superhero blockbusters came to an undeniable end in 2023. The studio's 4 releases that were Shazam, Fury of the Gods, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, and there was no comic book for those. This is so-called extended universe was scrapped, which means that Zack Snyder could not make any more apocalyptically miserable epic starring Henry Cavill as Superman and Ben Affleck as Batman. In his place, James Gunn, who directed the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy for Marvel, was given the job of overseeing DC superhero on the big and small screen, as well as writing and directing the first film in this rebooted franchise. The pressure is on. You might think Superman has saved the world's countless time over the decade, but now he got the fate of universe on his shoulder. But if Gunn himself felt that pressure, there are no signs of it in the film he made. He has not laid the groundwork for DC's new universe with care and delicacy, and he has not the experience to craft Superman tale that will be embarrassed by the widest possible audiences. Quite the opposite, in fact, bursting with the geeky whiteness that defined Gunn's earlier DC film, the Suicide Squad, not to mention the low-budget horror comedies he made before he turned his attention to superhero. Superman is a scenario that he appeared to have made for his own amusement. Whether it will amuse cinema, viewers at large remain to be seen. Gunn's most striking idea is to start his story not at the beginning, but somewhere around the middle, as if this were the third or fourth film in the series. When we first meet Superman, played by the suitably handsome and wholesome David Corenswet, he has already been protecting the metropolises for supervillain for those years. He is already dating his go-getting colleague at the Daily Planet newspaper, Lois Lane, and he is already lauded by a fanatical, bold billionaire, Lex Luthor. What's more unusual for a Superman franchise starter is that he is not the world's only superhuman or metahuman. To use the universal's jargon, DC other are listener. The Flash, Aquaman are apparently being saved for their own films, but Superman is helped and hindered by the ethically murky Justice Gang, consisting of the arrogant Green Lantern, cool, Mr. Terrific. It's a fun approach. Most of us are familiar with Superman origin story, born on the planet Krypton, raised on a farm in Kansas. So it's exhilarating to skip all that and get straight to the superheroes. It's a fun to see Gunn throwing in all of DC Comics Concise Cinder Superman films were all about darkness and anxiety and the biblical symbolism, whereas this is one feature, created the fluffy white superdog and Superman's stories of cap-wearing robotic assistants whom he genuinely addresses as a superhuman robot. There are dangerous thoughts in having a writer director who is also one of the posts of the studio. By the halfway point, we have seen clones and high-tone classes. A package universe and a far-betting Godzilla look alike. A cold planet with a giant floating eyeball called a dimensional imported. We have here comments on social media, misinformation, and we have here debates about the geopolitical impact of metahuman. We have smiled at the most cartoonish stuff over today, including in a superhuman film, and we have grimaced at an upsetting cold-blooded murder. Rather than suggesting that Gunn was trying to launch a long-running series of superhero films, Superman suggests that he was afraid he would be fired after just one of them, so he was determined to chock it full of everything he could think of. His nutty wishes we will be comic fans chuckle, as well as his precise sense of humor. It takes some guy to make a $1 Hollywood blockbusters that feel so much like an eccentric sci-fi movies, but Superman rushes through its outlandish concept and splashing plot development too quickly for them to have an impact. Skyscrapers collapses, monsters storm through metropolises, and people zip into different universes. But Gunn is too much of a hurry to install that momentous events with any of wonder of 1978 Superman. The movie, however, often he drops in John Williams' classic fanfare, so none of them seem to matter. It's a shame that Gunn did not give his story more time to breathe. It's shame, in particular, that he did not devote more time to showing us that Superman really is a paragon that his supporter keeps saying his Corenswet is well cast. America Charm both as Superman. It's a shame that Gunn did not give his story more time to breathe. Superman first of a new wave of superhero stories from Warner Bros. And DC Studio. This is the next film in the franchise and sets its tone for DC reboot cinematic universe. Director James Gunn reintroduces Superman as an earnest man in a cynical world and gives the character a modern twist. But what lies ahead of the man of tomorrow? The ending of Superman ends as a sequel and spin-off. Here is the ending explained. James Gunn's Superman, the third Superman film, reboot in the last 20 years, reset the tone and canon of this cinematic universes. Superman emphasizes the humanity of the titular character, a man overwhelmed by a chaotic world. Lex Luthor has found a way to decisively defeat Superman David Corenswet using a superpowered clone. Ultraman that he controls like a video game avatar. Superman's stint into the geopolitics, rescuing civilians during the Borean invasion of the Jalanpur, has made his very existence political, enabling Luthor to lobby against him. Citing the success of his own meta-human experiments, the Justice Gang, Nathan Fillier's Green Lantern, Eddie getting Mrs. Terrific, and Isabella Mercedes dismiss Superman's strict moral code as the world seemed to be moving on from him. Once Luthor manages to uncover a video of Superman's biological parents urging their son to colonize Earth and spread the seed of the Kryptonian. This damning video, it turns out, is legitimate and not one of the Luthor's tricks. I was expecting a reversal that never came. It's an unexpected twist that runs counter to Superman's traditional origin, commonly found in stories that deconstruct the superhero genre, such as Invincible, that reveal Nick's aware of hostility against Superman. The world accuses him being a traitor. A supervillain even suspects him of unsavory sexual activities. You might say he gets cancelled. The film questions if Superman's old-fashioned approach to heroism is still viable, as he suffers not so much a crisis of fact but a PR crisis. Luthor, of course, has helped sway public opinion with his army of extremely online monkeys, flooding comments across the internet. Against the tide of public opinion, Superman turns himself in, knowing Metropolis is still safe, more or less, because of the Justice Gang. Luthor seizes his opportunity. Immediately imprisoning Superman is a pocket dimension, where he is weakened by the kryptonite, manipulated by metaphor. Luthor has clearly been setting up this elaborate plan for some time, but his obsession with beating Superman has made him underestimate everyone else, along with Superman's ability to inspire others. Luthor's girlfriend turns against him as just metaphor as Superman breaks free. Luthor creates a dangerous rift in a reality to lure Superman back, willing to risk everyone else for a chance to take down the Kryptonian. Superman and Ultraman have their final showdown, where Superman learns that Ultraman is his clone. Ultraman seems to be completely devoid of empathy, and Superman appears to break his moral code by throwing his adversary into a black hole. It's not confirmed if he lives or dies, but the film leaves the door open for Ultraman's return. It's possible that Ultraman survives the fall. He might even uncover Bizarro, while Anita knows Bizarro. Superman's polar positive Gunn's version of Superman seems more likely to embrace fantastical elements from the comic. After a long struggle, Superman managed to seal the rift with help from Mr. Terrific, who very much lives up to his name, and Luthor's shady political dealings are revealed to the public, dealing in his arrest and public shaming. Before his arrest, Superman explained to Luthor that it is flaws that makes him human, despite being literally superhuman. Notably, the overseas war is solved by Hoult deceivably murdering the president of Borea, seemingly rejecting any geopolitical complexity along with the Superman's own moral code. The film ends with a memorable appearance from Supergirl, Millie Alcock, who drunkenly crash lands and demands to see her dog, Crypto. Superman reveals that he allows son of Earth grants Kryptonian's incredible power, but that Supergirl chooses to party on. Let's plan so that she can become intoxicated. The final scene seems Superman happily watching clip of his childhood, having rejected his alien parents and embarrassing the love of his adoptive family, the Kents. While there are a couple of MCU-style post-credit sequences in the film, they give no hints for sequel, just like the sniper and character moments in the wake of Luthor's destruction. Gunn's mysterious statement sparked rumor that the story will continue, but a Superman might be more of a side character. It could be that Gunn was talking about his second film of DC's new universe. Supergirl, teased by Millie Alcock briefly appearance. Supergirl, the cousin of Superman, is younger, agier, and more careful. Gunn told Screen Rant that Alcock's Supergirl is a total mess and hinted at her tragic origin story. In contrast to Clark Kent's wholesome upbringing, Gunn recently confirmed that Supergirl is set to be released in 2026. Superman is the first movie in the new DC universe, and its ending served by quite a few stories tried to be followed by the franchise as the first entry in the DCU James Gunn's. Going into the film, there were many questions about David Corenswet Superman and the larger DCU. Many of them were promptly answered, like the opening crawl revealing that Superman has been active for 3 years. That said, many exciting twists and answers were left for late into the film, including a major addition to Superman, cast of characters and more. As Gunn had previously teased, there is not a single bad thing that happened in Superman that does not have the finger of Nicole Hoult's Lex Luthor in it. Superman's ending ties all of those together by explaining the full scope of the villain plan. Instead of using Superman's action to carve up, Lex started the war to kill Superman. Lex brought in the hammer of Bolivia, who was revealed to be a Ultraman, is discussed. Aside from an important, every threat in the Superman is connected to Lex Luthor's plan to kill the man as the loud of jealousy. Ultraman faked a Bovian's accent to make it look like the country was retaliating for Superman stopping her to war. Lex started the war between the Brovia and Jordanport so that he could take Superman in for questioning and murder him, becoming the person the world looks good up to. However, his plan failed when Capture helped Superman take down Ultraman, a clone of the Man of Steel Lex, created using a strand of Superman's hair. Ultraman seemingly dies after being sucked into a black hole. Ultraman's death takes place in the pocket universe Lex Luthor created. That plays a big role in a Superman, with the final threat of the movie being an interdimensional rift that almost destroys Metropolises as it breaks the ground apart. While Mr. Terrific closed the rift, a lot of damage still remained. Superman's post-credit scene evidenced that via a crooked building. Hoult's Lex Luthor did not have a problem letting Metropolises be destroying if it meant killing Superman. He ends up having no play for his crime, thanks to the crowd, Ariel Planet and Air Taskmaster. Lex Luthor's ex-girlfriend in the background of the selfies and sent to Jimmy Olsen were maps, contract and more detail about Luthor's plans. After the Daily Planet shine a light on Lex's illegal move, the villain is taken into police's custody. Hoult's character is sent to Valley Rev, an important prison in DC Comics that had already made its DSEO debut before Superman. Valley Rev is the prison where Viola Davis Amanda Waller. Superman features a few surprises, which include John Kansas Peacemaker appearing in an interview to talk about Superman. The character will soon return in August for Peacemaker Season 2. which will see him face off with Frank Grillo Big Flagger. The latter is the father of the original Rick Flag, who was killed by Peacemaker in the old DCU. Flag was one of the main characters of the animated creature. Commandos, the DCU first project, written in Superman as one of the government higher-ups who allow Lex Luthor to take Superman into custody. In the end, Flag is cautioned about how metahumans make the rules now. Peacemaker Season 2 includes the Justice Gang, so that should be further explored. Superman might have formerly been the focus on the DCU first movie, but he was not the only superhero who appeared in it. Something that seemed important to James Gunn was showing his Visa Olive world, which was reflected by the opening crowd, Lois in the background, and more. The Justice Gang played a huge role in that aspect. David Nichols, the team, which was created by the Maxwell Lord, started with a roster that included Nathan Fillion, Green Lantern, Guy Gardner, Eric Messrs. Terrific, and Isabella Mercedes Hauger. Superman, trusted with them his secret identity and fought alongside the hero, but he was not a member of the Justice Gang. The team's roster evolved at the end of Superman. After he was rescued by Superman, Mr. Terrific and Lois Lane, Anthony Crisis is hoping to Bovian army from killing every citizen from Jordanpur on the border. Initially reluctant, Gallers joined the team when he says he liked the Justice Gang name, which everyone else made fun. Superman's team status is unclear. Finally, after Metropolis has been saved and Lex Luthor was sent to the prison, James Gunn introduces Supergirl to the new DC universes. Millie Alcock Supergirl movie will debut in theatre on June 26. Her cameo clearly sets up the film, as it explains the core story of the comic book the Supergirl movie is based on. Alcock Supergirl have a very different personality. She is more loose and careful. He is more contained and responsible. Supergirl was revealed to be Captor's Duke Honor, with Superman just watching his cousin's dog and arrived drunk despite her Kryptonian psychology. That is because she was staying on planet with a red sun. The red sun weakens her power, allowing Supergirl to feel the effect of alcohol. That lifestyle is key to Kara's journey in the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow comics. Speaking the screen rant, James Gunn revealed that Supergirl is a total mess in the DCU, which comes from her having a much more difficult background than Superman. Check out some. Yeah, that's her. She is a mess. She's a total mess. I think as we learned, she had a completely different background from Superman. A much more difficult background. He and his wonderful upbringing by his two parents that loved him and very healthy. And her background was much different than that. And she's ended up different from her cousins. 2026 Supergirl movie will further explore how the hero's personality and backstory connect in the DCU, while Superman and Supergirl do not get many moments together in the film, as she shows up in the fortress of solitude on the very end. Future DCU projects after Superman will have many chances to do so. Superman first of a new wave of superhero stories from Warner Bros. And DC Studio. This is the next film in the franchises and sets the tone for DC's rebooted cinematic universes. Director James Gunn reintroduces Superman as an earnest man in a cynical world and gives the character a modern twist, but well lies ahead of the Man of Tomorrow. The ending of Superman hints at a sequel and spin-offs. Here is the ending explained. What happens during James Gunn's Superman? James Gunn's Superman, the third Superman film reboot in the last 20 years, reset the tone and the canon of DC's cinematic universe. Superman emphasizes the humanity of the titular character, a man overwhelmed by a chaotic world. Lex Luthor has found a way to decisively defeat Superman David Corenswet using a superpowered clone. Ultraman that he controls, Lex Luthor has found a way to decisively defeat Superman David Corenswet using a superpowered clone. Ultraman that he controlled like a video game avatar. Superman stint into the geopolitics, rescuing civilians during the Bovian invasion of Jaranpur, has made his very existence political, enabling Luthor to nobly engage him, citing the success of his own metahuman experiment. The Justice Gang, Nathan Farian's Green Lantern, Eddie Gedrick Mrs. Terrific. Luthor manages to uncover a video of Superman biological parents urging their son to colonize Earth and separate the seed of the Kryptonians. This jamming video, it turns out, is legitimate, and in the climax of Superman, the first feature film under the DC Studio banner and the official big screen launch of the new DC universe, the city of Metropolis is split into it. Lex Luthor, immediate Earth transmission left in order to draw out Superman so he can kill the Man of Steel once and for all. As the rift slowly works its way toward the city, director James Gunn takes them to depict the citizen of Metropolis, evacuating in remarkably orderly fashion. So when buildings begin to climb apart and skyscrapers start feeling like dominions, our understanding is that most of those buildings are empty. Sequences that evoke the terrors of 9/11 have been commonplace in superhero cinema for decades now. But we're so striking about this now Superman movie is now how inured the people of Metropolis are to it. They don't like having to flee from falling rubble. But as Gunn lays out in the film's opening moment, in this universe superpowered beings, aka meta-human, have been around for 300 years. Humanity has been dealing with the nefarious Arquillians, free-breathing Kejo, and world-ending catalysm caused by forces beyond human comprehension for centuries is kind of old hat, which means Gunn can't just have fun with it without having to contend with the trauma of it all. In Man of Steel, when Superman then played by the Henry and his Kryptonian nemesis General Zod tear two Metropolises as they beat the crap out of each other, no one on Earth has been anything like it before. The shock is so terrifying that it drives the plot of the sequel, Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice, with Bruce Wayne seeking revenge against Superman for letting it happen. In Avengers Age of Ultron, the hero's final battle results in the country of Sokovia exploding in the sky. It causes so much collateral damage that the entire planet collapses back at the superhero with the Sokovia, a card to Captain America, Civil War. Later, Thanos snapping half the universe from existence in Avengers Infinity War, only for that half to be clipped back into being 5 years later in Avenger Endgame, in such an overwhelming experience that it's continued to reverberate within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Those storytelling choices worked at least in part because audiences create big budget entertainment that exorcised the fear and anxieties that haunted the world after 9/11. The need for that, however, has long passed. We are facing a whole new horde of horror, which Gunn seems to be understand. The Lex Luthor in this Superman is a billionaire psychopath, but his director James Gunn introduces so many new ideas like Crypto, the Superdog, and an entire pocket universe that the story could feel confusing for some viewers by the end of the film. The story follows Clark Kent, Superman, David. At the same time, Luthor also schemes with the ruler of a fictional country called Provia to overthrow a Middle Eastern nation called Jahanpur. It's busy film, but it shows a broad storyline Superman can fit into. Here is the ending of Superman explained. Much of the story revolves around Luthor's plot to discredit Superman by using a stolen recording of his Kryptonian parents telling their son to conquer or to restart a destroyed planet Krypton because of this. The US government allows Luthor, a villain and genuine billionaire, to imprison Superman in his high-tech facility. It exists within the pocket universe that Luthor created. After Superman is approached by a mysterious masked figure who works for Luthor, called Ultraman, he discovered that Luthor is using the prison to detain anyone who disagrees with his violent pursuit of the hero. Luthor even blackmails a superpowered person called Rex, who can make any element from the periodic table. To weaken the Superman with kryptonite, Superman eventually convinces Rex to use his power to make a marionette son so that he can regain his strength and save Rex's baby son. George from Luthor's henchman. When he is back to his usual cheery self, Superman frees himself, Rex, and George from the prisons and escape through a portal that his Justice Gang member, Mr. Terrific, and the journalist Lois have managed to open. Once he returned to Metropolis, it is not long before Superman has to fight Ultraman. While the brawl rages through the city, Luthor chooses to let the portal to the pocket universe start spreading, eventually separating Metropolis in half. Ultraman is unmasked during the fight and revealed to be a Superman clone that Luthor created by the stealing Kent DNA from previous fights he's had around the world. The alone cannot think or speak for itself, and Superman ends up throwing it into a black hole inside the pocket universe. Superman confronts Luthor at his headquarters, and Mr. Terrific closes the portal to save the city. Meanwhile, Luthor berates Superman and tells him that he wants to destroy him because he invites the attention he gets, despite being an illegal alien from another planet. Luthor feels that his intelligence should warrant more praise than Superman's strength, but the hero points out that he is just trying to be the best person he can be, and that he considers himself human because of his upbringing. While all that is happening, Green Lantern, Nathan Fillion, and Hawker intervenes in the Middle East to stop Brovia from invading Jaranpur and committing the genocide. Lani uses information she and the fellow journalist Jamie Olsen have collected about Luthor's alarming Brovia to publish and expose about him. This leads the authorities to arrest him and restore the public faith is Superman. Later, while recovering from the fight, Superman watches footage from his childhood with his adopted parents in the canals, showing that he considered them his true family. However, that is not to say he completely rejects his Kryptonian heritage, because Supergirl Millie Alcock arrives at his base in the Arctic to collect Krypton, the Superdog. This is of the next DC Universe movie, Supergirl. Thanks to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, post-credit scenes have become an expectations in the comic book movies, as fans wait to get a glimpse of what ahead in the next. Superman has two post-credit scenes, but they are fun instead of building up to another movie. In the first mid-credit scene, Superman sits with Krypton on the moon while they look at Earth. Then in the second, Superman meets up. Superman points out that building D is not quite started after the repair, and Mr. Terrific just walks away. Superman quite says to himself, "Gosh, I could be such a jerk." In the climax of Superman, the first feature film under DC Studios banner, and the official big screen launch of the new DC universe, the city of Metropolis is supplied to Lex Luthor. He creates a trans-dimensional rift in order to draw out Superman, so he can kill the Man of Steel once and for all. As the rift slowly works its way toward the city, director James Gunn takes time to depict the citizen of Metropolis advocating in the remarkably orderly fashion. So when a building begins to cleave apart and skyscrapers start feeling like dominion, our understanding is that most of these buildings are empty. Sequences that evoke the terrors of 9/11 have been commonplace in superhero cinema for decades now, but what's so striking about this new Superman movie is how inured the people of Metropolis are to it. They don't like flee from falling rubber, but as Gunn lays out in the film's opening moments, in this universe with superpowered began, aka meta-human, have been around for 300 years. Humanity has been dealing with the nefarious arc, villains for Breton Kejo, and worlds ending, caused by forces beyond human comprehension for centuries. It's kind of old hat, which means guns can just have fun with it without having to contend with the trauma of it all. In Man of Steel, when Superman, they played by Henry Cavill, and his Kryptonian nemesis General Zod, tear through metropolises at a PET cap out of each other. No one on earth has been anything like it before. The shock is so terrifying that it drives the plot of the sequel. Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice, will closely win, seeking revenge against Superman for letting it happen. In Avenger, Age of Ultron, the hero's final battle results in the country of Scovia exploding in the sky. It causes so much collateral damage that the entire planet claps back at the superhero with the Scovia Accords in Captain America Civil War, later tensions snapping up the universe from existence in Avenger Infinity War, only for that have to be believed back into being 5 years later in Avengers Endgame. Is such an overwhelming experience that is continue to reverberate within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Those storytelling choices worked at least in part because audiences crave being budget entertainment that exorcised the fear and anxieties that haunted the world after 9/11. The need for that, however, has long passed. We are facing a whole new art of horror, which Gunn seems to be understand. The Lex Luthor in the Superman is billionaire psychopath who weaponizes social media with disinformation campaigns and thinks nothing of secreting whether some civilian into an extrajudicial gag hidden away from public view. Crucially, however, the emotional advertises the most challenge the characters in Superman are internal conflict rather than the external dangers. Superman discovered that his biological parents were actually pretty shitty and sent him to Earth to rule it. Lois Lane spins out our commitment issue after Superman declared his love for her, but a rift wrapping up apart metropolises. There's just another day at the office. In a different era of superhero movie, Superman learning that Ultraman, Dex's secret weapon, is actually Superman's clone would have wrecked our hero with existential self-doubt. How can I possibly fight myself? Does this man, I capable of true darkness, who betrayed the last son of Krypton? In this movie, Superman whistles for help from his dog Krypton and leads his clone into a black hole fun. A common observation about Gunn Superman is that it feels like a comic book from DC Silver Age come to life, which is a narrative way of saying that a film evokes a time when this kind of storytelling was first and foremost a conduit for public escapism by making superheroic daring to an everyday occurrence in the DCU. Gunn has liberated DC studios from having to always factor in what it would actually feels like to see a flying man shoot heart raised off from his eyes. At the end of this movie, Superman's compatriot Mr. Terrific reverses the rift and the ships back together. Wow, James Gunn Superman is an absolute triumph of some blockbusters. The start of the DC versus DCU brings audiences a take on a Man of Steel that honor what came before and gives us a superhero filled with the hope that we can believe in. Clark Kent Superman David Corenswet or Pulse world is effective of our own while also having fantastical elements ripped straight from a comic book, which plays a major part in making this story have leave its mark. You will leave the theater believing a man can fly, but also hopeful that you are capable of making a difference. Let's start by discussing the one aspect of Superman that concerns me most, the narrative. While James Gunn has proven himself to be a capable writer, when you have as many moving parts as this film does, it would have been easy for things to fail about and Superman as character to get lost in the shuffle. I am thrilled to report this story did not collapse and was something centered on the man of tomorrow. This just so happened to have all these other heroes. The originally subtitle of this film, Legacy, should have been kept because that idea is vital to Gunn's story. Clark Kent not only battled Lex Luthor, Nicholas Hoult, but also what kind of mark he wants to leave on this world that does not fully accept him due to his captain's heritage. This plot point is obviously more relevant than ever in 2025. As a debate around immigrant rules, the conversation Clark Kent is first and foremost an immigrant that embodies his values of art and America. Some are accepting of him, others like Lex Luthor ask him as a threat to the country and humanity way of life. James Gunn treats his issue with respect and encourages viewer to see Clark Kent simply as a person who came here for a better life and has devoted so much time to doing good. It does not matter where he is from. His actions and characters tell you who this person is, which is mindset that every should have if you ask me. Clark's struggle with his attitudes and the mark he wants to leave on the world are incredibly relatable. We have all tried to break free of baggage our families have in one way or another to become who are and meant to be. It is not easy to figure either of those things out, even for a character as powerful as Corenswet's. Clark Kent and seeing him come into his own throughout the film is satisfying. Superman is at his core centered around the title character's humanity, and his challenges he faces while trying his value. So many turn their back on you for something you control. Do you change who are you to appease him, or do you stay true to yourself? That question is part of what Clark Kent is faced with here, along with a villain in Lex Luthor that sees him as less than human. What I also loved about his narrative is that there is little bite of everything. You have plenty of action, including some of the most memorable battles we have ever seen from Clark Kent. Seeing him fly is magical, and the way this film showcases his powers blow me away. There are so many ways he can win a fight besides strength, and you get a sense of that here. James Gunn's trademark is also present, and he got more laugh out of me than ever before. The best part about it is that these jokes feels natural from a Superman film with tons of energy. Everything flows pretty well, almost as if you were turning comic book pages with so much soul packed into them. This story will make you see the humanity of Clark Kent, feel his emotions, and inspire you. David Corenswet is absolutely electric as Clark Kent Superman, bringing both sides of him life with ease and making him feel distinct from each other. He, like Christopher Reeves before him, gives Superman a sense of confidence that Clark cannot master. His version of Clark is more reserved, and while we do not see too much of the Daily Planet reporter, Corenswet conveys his outcast nature so well that you believe in the illusion. There is simply no way that this guy is a superhero. They do share one similarity, which is that whether he has the out costume on or not, Clark Kent is a good fall, but he is warmed about him. He'll make you laugh before getting right back to business. This is who he is, an overgrown by a Scott who does things by the book and genuinely cares about other people. It was so nice watching a version of this character interact with the others and feel like he understood that being a hero is not just about saving people, it is about being kind and inspiring others to do better. The other pillars of Superman are Lois Lane, Rachel Brosnahan of the MSU, and Lex Luthor. Lois acts as Clark's anchor to humanity. Alongside his objective human parents Jonathan and Martha Kent, the road tailor, once and never Havel. She is smart and driven, which serves her as well as a reporter for the Daily Planet. We see Lois actively work to help Clark using her journalistic skill and more, which is a huge plus because she does not just act as his love interest, but is incredibly accomplished in her own right in these comics. Bronshaw does, however, have tremendous chemistry with his Corenswet from their very first scene together. It feels like the Clark and Lois have this connection that goes beyond word. I would watch an entire film of just the two of them. Their spark are incredible when I think about Clark Kent and Lois Lane's relationship. This is what I think of mutual respect, love, growth, and pushing each other to be better. Corenswet and the Bronshans provide all that and the same. Nazgul, hot, immodest, everything that Lex Luthor should be, especially in 2025. He is calculating, safe, brilliant, and incredible, driven, no matter the cost to himself or other. This version of Lex, oddly enough, is comparable to those that rightfully fear how powerful artificial intelligence is becoming. He thinks of Clark as an it rather than a human and believes our hero seeks to overtake humanity rather than serves as a protector. This honestly falls right in line with Lex as depicted in the comics, along with his feelings of jealousy and thinking that humans could reach our potential if meta-humans like Superman did not interfere, which are also touched on him the film gives a performance that rivals some of the best we have seen from comic book film villain. His face-to-face interaction with Corenswet showcase his range as an actor and ability to capture all sides of Lex Luthor. You will be terrified of him, want to punch him in the face, and even think yourself about maybe he has a point. These visuals are incredible, colorful, but there is also an abundance of CGI, perhaps too much at times. That does not mean it does not necessarily look good. For the most part, Superman is stunning, but you can't help but feel the computer generated imagery is a tad bit excessive, as grounded as its narrative and a couple action sequences can be. I wish we get more sequences that allowed us to better feel the weight of Clark's power. This is the only major drawback to having a film that feels like a comic book come to life. Sometimes these fights should not leave much impact. I was concerned about the inclusion of Maxwell, Justice Gang in Superman, and Thor the Gander Green, Lantern Nathan's villain, Kendra Sanders, and Michael Hort Mr. Superman is an excellent start for the DCU that I could not get enough of. The film is so joyful, action-packed, and has plenty of heart. David Corenswet, Rachel Brosnahan, and Nico's hot craft version of Clark Kent Superman. Lois Lane and Lex Luthor that people will be talking about for decades to come. This truly plays out like a comic book come to life, and if this is a sign of things to come. James Gunn was absolutely the right person to run DC studio alongside Peter Safran. James Gunn's new Superman film is likely to be one of those love it or hate it kinds of movies, so let's break it down to help you figure out it's one you want to see in theater or not because that's the whole point of review, right? With Superman 2025 we don't get this origin story with the Clark Kent early childhood era, which I thought I would miss, but I did not. We have seen that a million times and I'm so glad we got to skip ahead. Instead, we jump in a couple of years after Superman has announced himself to the world and people are still in the honeymoon phase with him, and while they wonder what they admire him, there are humans who are starting to question if he belongs here or not. This is an important question because Earth is full of now, and this film digs into what that means for humanity, metahumans and aliens, as well as how this all fits into the global society. Some humans destruct aliens and metahuman, while I appreciate with the superhuman brings Lex Luthor and is one of the humans who simply does not accept Superman as one of us. But there is so much more to this dislike of Alien. I got the feeling during the first part of the movie that part of Lex's dislike was that he is this super genius and he can't get away with anything because of Superman and the metahuman, but there is more to. So I kept wondering why is hating so hard on Superman, and that really is one of the driving questions in this film that we get to explore. This sets up the conflict between these two characters. One is an unbeatable alien with godlike power. What I love about this scenario is the way Lex Luthor's mental power plays against Superman's literal. Superpower Superman is physically near invincible, but he can't compete mentality with Lex Luthor's genius, which is supercharged by this deep hatred of Superman, and that makes him Superman's equal in every way that matters. That's where the story takes off. What stands out of Superman? Complexity. He's a bit of good choo-choo, always trying to do the right thing, which fits his character, but his version gives us something deeper. We see his emotions, his fear, and his desire. The film leans into the nature versus nature argument by showing how his values came from his human parents in Kansas, while his power came from his Kryptonian heritage. It makes a clear point that who become is shaped by the choices we make and people who influence us. And I think that was a very intentional directional choices by James Gunn to present Superman not just as a symbol but as a complex and compelling person. Some viewers may struggle with Gunn's writing or directorial style, and that's absolutely valid. His approach is not for everyone. I usually try to ignore who directed a film going in because I don't want to be influenced before I have seen it myself. But with Superman that was impossible. Even so, once the movie started, I found myself thinking less about James Gunn and more about Superman. Clark Kent, whether as himself or as Superman, just want what will want, a job, friendship, and someone who understands him. He's basically a regular guy with extraordinary power who genuinely wants to help. And to me, that's the essence of hero. Superman 2025 feels like a return to what superhero were always meant to be, and something Marvel and DC have largely forgotten until now. Superman feels human in this film, and because of that, it does a great job of showing how social media impact him, from tweets to news cycle and wider narratives that shape. We see how these things shape the way Superman sees himself and how upsetting it is to him when the image is painfully different in the public media. The politics of the films are sharp but subtle. It captures the complexity of a divided world without reducing people of stereotype. While political threats are present, they are even into character arcs in a natural and seamless way. Unlike Captain America, which often felt heavy-handed, Superman handles these themes with a light, intelligent touch, showing the benefit and the flaws on all sides. I really appreciated that. Overall, the character's development was really well done, especially among the supporting cast. My favorite was Mr. Terrific, played by Eddie Gaddage. He is no nonsense kind of guy who can drop a sharp one-liner that either lightens the mood or narrates the tension we are all feeling. He is the guy who acknowledges how the audiences are feeling in many of these moments in the film. Of all the size character, he is very easily the most compelling, and I would love to see more of him. Lois Lane, played by the Rachel Brosnahan, is such a strong character. She's a great female character. She is returnable, intelligent, and funny without being overdone. Lois is not sworn at Superman, and she sees Clark for he is. Their chemistry feels thoughtfully, layered with mutual respect and romantic tension, without making romance dominate her character. Plus, she is great at her job. That was refreshing. Nicole's Hoult Luthor is brilliant. I thought I might have looked too young for a tech CEO at his level of success. But he nears his sense and intellect. He represents a credible threat. Raising his stakes with his obsessive, relentless confidence as he goes on the attack. We immediately feel the energy when he is on screen. Long-term superhero fans have not gotten a villain this compelling in a while. When it comes Superman or Clark Kent, I will admit I was a little skeptical. Henry Cavill and Christopher Reeves as a high bar, but David Corenswet not only looks the part, he delivers a well-acted, compelling version of the character. He plays Superman as sincere, strong and smart, without making him seem naive. You can feel his frustration with the constant critics trying to tear him down. Even he is out here saving people, kids, adults, and yes, even us Carol. Short is a relationship with Lois. We see a deeper, more complicated side of Superman as he works with what heroism really means. Their connection feels grounded and refreshingly adult, built on mutual respect, emotional honesty, and real vulnerability, as well as a little. His relationship with Lois, we see a deeper, more complicated side of Superman as he wrestles with what heroism really means. Their connection feels grounded and refreshingly adult, built on mutual respect, emotional honesty, and real vulnerability, as well as little well-placed humor, which almost are by too much. Lois does not fall for the hero. Instead, she sees Clark for who he is, and she does not let him off easy. Meanwhile, the interactions between the Superman and Lex Luthor turn. Through most of film, Superman does not realize he is fighting against Lex Luthor, but when they finally face off, their verbal exchanges are intense, honest, and revealing. Their two men play off each other, especially making their interaction feel believable. And then there is a big dog. Despite some complaints, I actually liked Crypto. He was a little over the top of Atom, and some of his antics could have been trimmed. Still, I enjoyed him and enjoyed Superman's relationship with him. Crypto behaved exactly like a dog. And there is a heavier moments. Remember that Antarctic scene from the trailer where Superman crashes into the ice. That really bothered me at the first because it made him look weak. And honestly, it feels like a red flag. There are some other issues I am sure people will point out. So I won't go to this here. I did not mind the suit overall. But the stitching caught my eye a few times and bugged me more than I probably should have. What really stood out was the audience's reaction at my screaming. People laughed, cheered, and stared all the way through the credits. Not a single person left early because they wanted to see if there was a post-credit scene. And yes, there was a post-credit scene at the very end. Before I wrap, I have to mention the music. This classic John film Superman theme is used with just the right touch. The modern electrified version of the song gives the film fresh energy without losing its emotional edge beyond it. The use of the contemporary music at key moments also added tension, film, and a sense of relevance, which I appreciated. So is Superman 2025 ticket worthy? I think it is. This version is Superhuman is intelligent, sensitive, and grounded, not just a great character, but a genuinely good man. He is the kind of the hero you can hook up, not because he is flawless, but because he chooses to do right thing even when it's hard. If you appreciate a strong hero, smart villain, layered politics, and meaningful character, there is a lot here to enjoy. It's also a great film for kids and presents a powerful example of what a good man can be, something we don't see nearly enough in modern film. That said, if you are not a fan of James Gunn's style, you may find him to dislike. It's a very much like this take on Superman, and it feels like a James Gunn film in a very way. If his style does not work for you, he probably won't change your mind. But for me, I loved it, and I definitely think it triggers watching. This Superman brings back the heart of what his character is meant to be. It's fun, emotional, and thoughtful. It explores what it means to be a hero in the age of social media. When it's easier to tear a man, John tends to lift him up. Plus, it gives us side character like Lois Lane, Lex Luthor. So, will you see Superman whether you love it or hate it? Let me know in the comment. No major spoiler, just shadows can wait. If you would like to watch Superman 2025, you can pre-order the physical medium or digital access via Amazon. It's becoming increasingly difficult to deny the existence of superhero fatigue, especially when looking at how 2025's Marvel and DC movies have performed at the worldwide box office. Superman is a year's clear winner with an expected $625 million. However, by the time its run ends, the Fantastic Four first steps will come in second with a predicted $525 million total, and then it's all downhill from here. Captain America Brave New World tapped out with $415 million earlier this year, while Thunderbolts, this year's best reviewed superhero movie, only managed to reach $383 million when all was said and done. Thanks to COVID-19, Harley Quinn was up to box office prospectus were cut short in 2020. A new Mutants came and went to deleted fanfare. Taking that aside, with none of 2025 releases set to reach $700 million, this is the first time since 2011, 14 years ago, in a non-pandemic year, that a superhero movie has failed to reach that figure. It's a troubling statistics. Thunderbolts was always going to struggle with a cast of characters mostly known for being on streaming, while the Fantastic Four first steps was tasked with the fixing a franchise that had become best known for producing terrible movies based on the review and fan response. However, the Captain America and Superman franchises underperforming like this is troubling. It is the latest defense. It's coming on the back of a series of awful DC movies. But Cash's fall from grace is legitimately shocking. If this is the beginning of the end of superhero, that's unlikely. Studios simply need to figure out how to make them for much less money. And 2026 will be the bigger test as Spider-Man, Brand New Day, and Avengers. Doomsday should be guaranteed to surpass $1 billion. If they don't, they need to be a time to panic. Superman DC Studios' first feature film to hit the big screen, sold into theaters worldwide this summer from Warner Bros. Pictures in his signature style. James Gunn takes on the original superhero in the newly imagined DC universe with a singular blend of epic action, humor, and heart, delivering a Superman who's driven by the compassion and an inherent belief in the goodness of humankind. The movie stars David Corenswet in a dual role of Superman, Clark Kent, Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane, and Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. Set engages the vibrant backdrop of a 1960s-inspired retro-futuristic world, Marvel Studio. The Fantastic Four first steps introduces Marvel's first family: Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, Pedro Pascal, Sue Storm, Vanessa Kirby, Human Torch, Josh King, and Ben Grimm, Abon Moss as they face their most daunting challenge yet. Forced to balance their low roles as hero with a trend of their family bond, they must defend Earth from a revenge space god called Galactus, Insan and his enigmatic shield, Silver Surfer and his galactic plan to devour the entire planet, and everyone on it were not bad enough. It suddenly gets very personal. Superman and the Fantastic Four first steps are both playing in theater. The former recently debuted on digital. Ahead of the world's premiere of James Gunn's Superman on July 7, DC Studios co-chief took the stage to thank the most important person seated in the audiences, Warner Bros. Discovery President CEO, for your faith and trust in James and in mean to make this movie and to kickstart the new era of DC. In fact, there were only a few echoes of DC past inside the CCS, Chinese IMAX theater, including Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex Luthor in the long-running series Smallville, and Reeve, the son of the late Christopher Reeve and as ambassador to the Richard Donner. Superman, or otherwise, the night stood as the dawn of a new beginning for the film franchise that has earned $16.8 billion over 58 films at the box office but has been eclipsed in the recent year by Keystone rival Marvel's. Why did Gunn, who take the reins of DC with Saffron 2022 and also wrote and produces the film, pull off a franchise jumpstart? The refrain heard on a Warner Bros. Lot in the Burbank and around Hollywood was good enough, accompanied by a sigh of relief as Gunn movie lifted off to 2020, meanwhile while unsharing in a 10 years vision of where DC. Selznick took a victory lap before the ink was tried on the weekend box office number, calling the performance soaring and just the first step. But his poster struck many in tone as old, empty which were given that the CEO rarely vague in publicity about the film's opening weekend. Domestically, Superman struck the landing, but international numbers are disappointing, says box office analyst Jeff Rock of Exhibitor Relations of the $95 million overseas haul for Superman to be one of the biggest summer blockbusters. Not to mention rest in entire universe. The film needed to pack more punch in its debut. Obviously, the following weeks will tell the true box office deal, but it has to be viewed as a slightly underwhelming start of DC and WB. More importantly, Wall Street is feeling good about the ball. Warner Bros. Discovery stock jumped 2.4% from 11% at the close of July 11 to $12 by the end of the 10 July 14. Wall Street analyst Dan Lives of Wedbush Securities calls the film's performance very impressive domestically and a huge boost of the franchise given some worries coming in. He adds, the international is a mix, but overall an A weekend for Superman. And one step agent says he can understand a little groaning from the stuff, considering the press treated him like the village idiot punching bag for so long. You can't blame guy for grappling onto any piece of good news, says the agent. The film cost $225 million and another $1 to $5 million to market globally. The latter including prices turned like a Superman figure, hovering at the box office of London's Dallas building that showed on July 1. One rival studio executive estimated that the sheer gambit alone cost 7-figure. Warner always believed that Superman would under-index internationally because the titular hero is inextricably linked with the American way. Typically, a film stars earn the top salaries, but in this case, Gunn was for the highest near, pulling down 20 times more than David Corenswet, Superman, Clark Kent, and Rachel Brosnahan. Lois Lane, who each earned $750 to Gunn $15 million. According to source, Gunn also draws a 7-figure salary as a studio's top executive, and who placed Lex Luthor named a $2 million payday. Also, Warner Bros. Has sequel option on Corenswet and Brosnahan. A sequel announcement does not appear to be imminent. Instead, sources say the studio is fast-tracking a Wonder Woman movie and the studio is thrilled with Matt Reeves just submitted